forward, a bunch of interesting games Sunday, the early window, and possibly the most interesting is this AFC North matchup between the 4-2 Bengals and the 5-1 Ravens. The Bengals obviously got the job done quite comfortably against the Lions. Did you boys see they had Jamar Chase all mic'd up for him catching passes from Joe Burrow? And Burrow goes to him. He actually underthrew him a little bit on this as well, I think. You see that big blue thing over there? That's the end zone. And Jamar was giving him a little bit back. Obviously, college teammates at LSU. And speaking of, Joe Mixon has been firing. This Bengals team, boys, they're 4-2. Do we think they're a playoff team at the moment?
They might go into the playoffs, but defensively, I don't think they're going to go very far. They're probably a year away of adding defensive talent and maybe one or two pieces. And then I think they're going to be scary. Like Lamar's added an extra dimension to it, and he's an excellent team player. I think, was it Kareem Hunt that had that run, and then Chase came over from the other side and blocked the safety, laid him out so that Hunt would get in there for the touchdown.
Wouldn't be Kareem Hunt because he plays for the Cleveland Browns.
Sorry, I'm confusing orange teams. My bad. It wasn't Mixon either. It was. Fuck. Couldn't tell off the top of my head.
Chris Evans, the backup.
Maybe. But either way, the point was Chase is getting across there to put on big blocks. To get guys in, playing the team sport side of it. You see plenty of receivers, especially on run plays, doing the bare minimum while they get ready for the next play.
What about the Ravens, boys? They're 5-1. They are, by record, the best team in the AFC. An interesting little tidbit from last week. They had 3 rushing touchdowns, and the guys that ran in, Latavius Murray, Le'Veon Bell, Devonta Freeman, have all been an afterthought, I guess, in the last few years in the league, but they're all former Pro Bowlers. Then there is a log jam after them in the AFC, obviously with the Bills losing. What do we think is going to be the result of this game? I imagine the Ravens are probably heavy favourites, but I'd imagine it'll be close. I'm going the Baltimore Ravens, but I wouldn't be. Look, they dismantled the Chargers last week, but I wouldn't be super surprised if the Bengals can keep in touch. What do we reckon?
Yeah, and my concern always with the Ravens where their defense is currently, and going into that Chargers game, that was my concern. But then they went out there and shit pumped them. So I think the Bengals are a worse team than what the Chargers are. So I think I picked the Ravens. I think the Ravens can get it done here and keep going, keep rolling. Rashad Bateman back for them. Slow start, of course, in his first game back, but he looks like a talent. Another weapon. I think Sammy Watkins might be hurt though, so a bit of straight replacement there.
Yeah,
but they're a good team. They got an MVP playing quarterback for them, so they're going to be in games. And with the culture, the mindset that the Ravens play football with, John Harbaugh gets them to play, like they're always going to be playoff bound. I reckon they definitely have that feeling about them. They're always that team that's going to be there and thereabouts, and they're putting together another excellent season. Need to run towards that playoff in that Super Bowl.
Monks?
Yeah. You guys pretty much said it all. To that, I have also gone the Ravens. They are favourites at $1.35. Bengals are out at $3.20. So it's looking like some of the shorter odds for the week. And we've got total match points of 47.
I wouldn't be surprised if we go over. I think this might be a little bit of a shootout. The Bengals defense has been lackluster, but that young offense is starting to get there. I'd be tempted to go over there. But 3 Ravens tips here. Moving forward, we've got the Panthers going to East Rutherford to take on the Giants. The Panthers, much like the Broncos, started off 3-0 and then have lost 3 since then. And also, a bit like the Broncos, maybe the teams that they beat to get to 3-0 weren't that impressive. The Jets and Texans were two of them, and the Saints, who, maybe a reasonable side, but definitely
Not cold at the moment.
yeah, well, definitely two easy wins there. They only just lost last week against the Vikings. It was a wild finish to this one. It was I was up early here in Australia, and it ran much later than any of the other early window games. We saw a wild final drive. Sam Darnold had the boys driving down the field. They got a 2-point conversion to force overtime. And then the defense just couldn't get a stop, and the Vikes got the win there. Christian McCaffrey, he got moved to injured reserve this week, so this hamstring injury seems to be a little bit more serious than first thought. Means the man with the best name in the NFL, Chuba Hubbard, gonna be rolling through and taking the bulk of the carries for the Panthers. The Giants, on the other hand, they got dismantled by the Rams. They are banged up. Danny Dimes played his worst game of the season so far. Saquon, I imagine, is no bueno for this week. And Kadarius Toney, who showed a little bit a week ago, he had 3 catches on the opening drive and then suffered an ankle injury, I believe. Do we have any news on Kadarius Toney? I think that the only starting skill guy out of their offense is Sterling Shepard that's left. Everyone else is banged up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and from what I can find, they're not planning to put him onto injured reserve, so they're talking about whether it'd go or not. So I don't think he'd play this week if that is the case.
So possibly a more serious ankle sprain, but not enough to warrant injured reserve. Boys, what do we reckon here? Look, you can't rule out the Giants, but I imagine it's 3 Panthers.
Yeah, Panthers. I'd be actually, now that I think about it, Stephon Gilmore might play this week.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Obviously, they picked him up cheap, a 6th round pick for the former defensive player of the year. You'd imagine Steph Gilmore wouldn't be far off.
He's in practice, but
can't tell.
Can't say. They're easing him back into practice, but whether he'll play or not in this one, I don't know.
They might
practice.
They might say the Giants have got fuck all receivers. Monkey's actually lining up in the slot for the Giants this week. So have a week off, Steph, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, he's still on the PUP, so he hasn't come off that yet. So I don't think he's in back into training, but he hasn't officially been added to the roster, I don't think.
3
Panthers for mine.
Yeah, three Panthers there. They are favourites at $1.63. The Giants are out at $2.30 at the moment, and we've got a line of 43.
I'll tell you what, $1.63 is a little bit better value than I had expected. Obviously, coming off that 3-game losing streak, I just don't see how the Giants can do it with the amount of injuries that they've had. And Danny Dimes took some licks the last few weeks as well. Who knows how he's going to pull up. $1.60 there seems pretty juicy for me.
So that leads into probably another awesome AFC matchup, and that's with the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Tennessee Titans. 3-3-4-2 there. Chiefs, of course, were too good for the Washington football team in the second half. They did have to come back in that game, I think, a little bit.
They did.
Darren Williams also looking like a very good fantasy option for those out there over CEH because he, of course, is on injury reserve, I believe. I think he's going to miss quite a while. Did get 2 tutters in here, of course, gets the goal line work. And an interesting kind of fact throughout CEH's career, he hasn't scored as many points fantasy-wise as Darrell Williams did last week. So
one game, yeah.
One game.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Look, CEH is a bit of an enigma. He's got all the talent in the world. He's in that Andy Reid run offense. You'd expect him to just be putting up bulk numbers each week. I don't know if it's just he's maybe a little bit undersized. They don't favour him around the goal line, whereas Darrell Williams has got that slightly bigger body. I think that Darrell Williams is a more fantasy relevant running back at the Chiefs than Clyde Edwards-Helaire is. We did mention the game last week against the football team. The Chiefs just did not look like themselves in that first half, and in that second half, they look like the fucking Chiefs. So it'd be interesting to see which team rocks up this weekend. And then the Titans coming off a huge upset against the Bills on Monday Night Football. Another awesome Monday Night Football game. And Derrick Henry, he's the king. Look, he's the king. He's king by nature. We were having a chat in our NFL group chat this week. He's $31 at the moment to be the MVP of the NFL. That is mind-boggling to me. Look, we're seeing some awesome play from the likes of Kyler Murray, from the likes of Dak Prescott, from the likes of Josh Allen. But when you think about the most valuable player, you have to take into consideration the most valuable to their team. And Derrick Henry, he just does things that other people can't do. He's a 250-pound, 6'4" running back. He should be playing outside linebacker, and he runs faster than anyone else. And everyone knows the big stiff arm from last year where it was on Josh Norman, a former Pro Bowl corner. This week, he's done the same stiff arm to Mario Addison, a defensive end. He's putting defensive ends 3 yards back, boys. He's just built different. And for mine, through the first 6 weeks of the NFL, he's my MVP. It'll be interesting to see if he can keep it up. I think he's got 10 rushing touchdowns. I think he's had one game where he's had less than 100 rushing yards.
Yeah. Is he at 2K yet, Monks?
Pretty much. No, not yet. He's sitting at 783. Nick Chubb is second there at 523. So he's almost 2 games ahead now.
Chubb missed last week. So.
He did.
Bengals this week, so Chubb's banged up. But yeah, Henry's so clear.
That's it. He's,
as you said, averaging over 100 a game. So
yeah, 130 a game.
His post-contact, I know I said it last week, but I'll reiterate it. His post-contact yards, if they were a running back, would be 3rd in the NFL. Post-contact. It's unbelievable. I was showing my wife some videos of him working out with his shirt off during the week. And No, she was less interested than I was. And I was just thinking, there's a lot of chat around government surveillance and what's going on with what you're watching on your phone. And I think that a lot of the videos that I seem to be elite athletes working out with their shirt off. So, look, nothing wrong with that. But if the government is watching, just don't want them to get the wrong idea.
So if we roll back to this game, my concerns still with the Chiefs are their defense. They're just not at the level they have been in the past, and their offensive line still struggling, which doesn't bode overly well coming up against the Titans. Wouldn't surprise me if Derrick Henry again gets 30 touches and 200 plus yards as he runs all over the Chiefs defense. Would that be enough to score enough points? Hard to say. This could be a high scoring one. But I think, what did I pick? I picked Kansas. I did pick Kansas City Chiefs.
Well, I'm being a pussy here too. I'm going to go Kansas City. I think the Mahomes factor in their offense. But look, I've just been pumping up the tires of, in my mind, the best player in the NFL. It wouldn't surprise me if they just go say, hey, King, here's 35 carries. Here's the rock. Go run for 150 on this pretty ordinary defense and get us another home win.
Yeah. Well, the question is, can Henry put up 40 points to battle that Mahomes-led offense over there?
And I tell you what, when they don't run the ball, the passing game looks pretty so-so. They got AJ Brown going a little bit in the second half. Julio Jones had that that was a Madden catch, one of those. Yeah, Madden glitches where you just go on. It's normally the computer doing it against you. You're just going, what the fuck? Like that's not a real catch. Julio had that ridiculous sideline catch. But when they go to throw the ball, they don't look that impressive. Yeah, hard one to pick. I'm going the Chiefs. Monks?
Yeah. And just to finish that off, because Julio did injure his hamstring again in that game, and AJ Brown did finish. AJ Brown, I said it right. Did finish that game, but both didn't practice Wednesday. Whether that's rest day for both of them, but they are banged up, so they are very much relying on Henry at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I actually reckon the Titans are probably going to be favourites in this, but I'd be interested to see what the odds are, Monks.
Oh yeah, just get straight into it. So Chiefs, I've gone Chiefs. Chiefs are favourites, $1.43. Titans are out at $2.86. Yeah.
And if you want a good bet, the Titans there, that's a good bet.
What's the line and what's the overs? Because Titans with a line and overs seems interesting.
Yeah, if total match points isn't 80, I'm definitely taking it.
Okay, total match points is 78. Sean is taking it.
That's it. Yeah. I mean, we've just put the. No, wait. Did we put the curse on them?
Yeah, we all picked the Chiefs.
We picked Chiefs. So yeah, we just put the curse on the Chiefs
and win this.
That's it. So total match points 57.5.
That is a lot.
It's a lot, but this could be a 40-40 kind of game. Like that's what you think it'll be. With the Titans will be able to score points in this Chiefs defense, and Mahomes will have to chase. And what did that Bills Tennessee game do? That did 70 plus. So
yeah. I took an alternate line on that. I was a bit scared because it was about 50. So I took an alternate and it was like 44, and I had it like at the start of the third quarter. So I was going, yeah, baby, let's obviously lost the multi, but I got that leg.
That's and yeah, the line on this one, you mentioned that you reckon they'll score 40 each. The line is 4.5. So yeah, pretty close to going tap for score.
What were the Chiefs? Were they $1.40? Did you say?
$1.43.
That's ridiculous. That's from the football that we've seen, that makes no sense. So I don't mind having them slight favourites, but $1.43, no bueno.
Yeah.
I tell you, it should be $1.43 or shorter. Is the Green Bay Packers? They have the Washington football team at home at Lambeau. The football team, we did mention, started well against the Chiefs. They didn't score in the second half. And their defense is the worst defense in football, boys. They've conceded the most points through 6 rounds. They were highly touted coming into the season. They're not living up to the expectation. And on offense, they've been so. Sean, you own Antonio Gibson in fantasy. Did he go out in this game? And do we know that his status moving forward?
He has been playing, but he's playing through shin fractures. So
he's got fractured shin. Okay.
Yeah. So exactly. So he was like, "Holy fuck! Why are we playing through a fractured shin?" He's been doing that for 2 weeks. But I think they had a further MRI on that shin this week. No results. They haven't explained what came out of that or not. Hasn't been training during the week. I think the question is, has those fractures been getting worse? They obviously must be just like small stress fractures, which they can monitor and play through. But if it flares up or it gets worse, then of course he then sits out. So I don't think it matters in this, because usually game scripts with the Washington football team, they will go to JD because they're going to pass the ball more, and he's their preferred receiving back. And considering the Packers will probably score 20 points on them in the first quarter, they will be chasing most of this match. So I wouldn't think Gibson's going to get much game time, if any at all, for this one, with the way this game is probably going to go. They'll probably shut him down. It wouldn't surprise me, and rest him up for the following week. Because as you said, the Packers on the roll at the moment, won 5 straight. I think they're going to come in here and pump the Washington football team.
Yeah, I'd expect so. I am a Packers fan. Looked less than convincing, I suppose, at Soldier Field in the Aaron Rodgers taunting the crowd game. A little bit of an Andy Reid play, which was interesting. The little shovel pass for an Alan Lazard touchdown. And the backfield is interesting as well, in that A.J. Dillon is really starting to take a big role in terms of carries. Fantasy relevance on the cusp, but not quite there.
Oh, yeah.
And I said to you boys during the week, I know he didn't have a massive game last week, but Devontae Adams for mine is hands down the best receiver in the league. There was a play where they hit him on a corner route. The safety had an open look at him, like could have sent him, in 3 rows back, he could have sent him. And he takes the ball, can barely look at the safety, shrugs him off, and ran it to the house. Unfortunately, there was just a nick of paint on his boot that brought him back about 30 yards there. He's a weapon. The Pack are rolling, and I think they go to 6-1 pretty convincingly.
So you're saying he's the reason why I lost fantasy this week? Not scoring that touchdown?
Well, look, there's a lot of shoulda, woulda, coulda involved in fantasy or in gambling or in life. But there was a few blades of grass which perhaps robbed you of 9 points there, I would say. Let's call it a touchdown and 30 yards.
Yeah. No, it's all good.
And I don't think we need to get too stuck into best receivers in the NFL again, but maybe DeAndre Hopkins will enter the chat at some point because he's been playing pretty well for the Cards.
Second best receiver in the league,
considering he's banged up. But hey, of course I'm going to back my lad a little bit with that as well.
Had a pretty good game himself, and we'll get to that in a sec. Monks,
give us some odds quickly. Pack should be very short, as Pep said before.
Yeah, that's it. So 3 packs here. They are favourites at $1.25. Washington football team is out at $4. And we've got total match points of 49.5.
Yeah, possibly a little high for my liking there. But look, Packers fan, $1.25, I think that's safe as a house. A game that will probably roll through pretty quick. The Falcons take on the Dolphins. The Falcons coming off the bye, not much to report there. And the Finns, probably the big news that we've already spoken about is them trying to get after Deshaun Watson. They're coming off a loss to the Jags in London. And Myles Gaskin, he'd been my boy last year in fantasy, and I turfed him earlier this year because I'd had enough. I actually traded him for Rondale Moore and then got rid of Rondale Moore the next week. He went absolutely bonkers a week ago against the Bucks. I think he caught 10 passes. He had 30 fantasy points. And then this week, I think he had 5 rushes for 9 yards and maybe a reception. So very hard to get around Myles Gaskin there. Mind you, Tua Tagovailoa looked pretty good. Mike Gesicki, Jalen Waddle getting involved. I think Waddle had 2 touchdowns. And we've got to talk about him again. This fucking dickhead Jarmo, he's made another appearance. I don't know.
This game, yeah, the Jags Dolphins game was in England. We should have expected this, honestly. We should have thought about this.
It hadn't crossed my mind. I was thinking, we probably talk too much about him, old Jarvo. I wonder where he, obviously the media exposure and the YouTube views is getting him to pay off these fines, but the bloke has got to be the slipperiest fucking bloke in the UK because he keeps doing it and he's getting away with it.
Yeah, well, did you see him? I think he was like shaking hands with the refs and the other players because I think it must have been before the game had actually kicked off. But they seemed pretty cool and calm about it before security guard walked out and said, "Come on, Java, we're going back over here."
Java. Old mate Paddy at the start of the show getting booted from Watford for fuck all, and Java just running around doing what he wants.
That's it.
Perhaps who did you pick in this game? Falcons, Dolphins.
I have gone the Falcons. I think the Dolphins are in all sorts. I don't think the Falcons are a very good football team, but I just nothing about Miami comes to me about a productive, functional football team at the moment. Atlanta for me.
Yeah. I've gone the flip and I've picked the Finns.
Okay.
Based on the Deshaun Watson news, I think Tua's going to come out and have a game. That's my hope.
I like it, Musk. A deciding tip here, which might be a little bit unusual this week, looking at the games to come forward. Your tip and the odds, please.
Yeah, look, I tried tipping a few underdogs last week and nothing went my way. So I've gone City route and backed the Falcons in as favourites, sitting at $1.74. That being said, Dolphins are only out at $2.10, so still going to be very close. And we've got a total match points of 47.
Don't like the overs there, and that's a little bit more value I would have thought on Atlanta. But look, we've got some awesome matchups in the early window. You know, Chiefs and Titans and Ravens and Bengals. I can't imagine this game you know, really plays too much into our interest. And speaking of,
Yeah, and the next one.
the Jets take on the Patriots. The Jets are coming off the bye. They're 1-4, and hats off to the Pats. They're 2-4, but I think they've been better than that record
They've
suggests.
pushed some teams.
They've pushed some teams. They
Well,
pushed the
pushed
Cowboys
Tampa.
in Dallas to overtime. Sean, you were very big on Matt Jones at the start of the year. He's looking like probably the best of the quarterbacks so far.
Yeah, if Lamar Chase wasn't a thing, he'd be offensive rookie of the year, I reckon. But as if you're going to pick up one of the quarterbacks, and he's the one playing the best at the moment.
Definitely.
But, yeah, Lamar Chase, I think they've got that reward sewn up after 7 weeks already. If he can continue his current form, he will dominate with his stats if he continues his form towards the end of the year.
Agreed. With the Pats, Damien Harris, he was a question mark going into the game, and he actually ran for 101 yards and a touchdown. And we did mention earlier that the Cowboys have a bye this week, but how good was the finish? Overtime, CeeDee Lamb goes in, gets sort of a little bit of a late nudge, and then just hops up, doesn't blow up, and just gives the old Queen Elizabeth bye-bye.
Yeah.
Breaks the hearts of the Pats fans. I don't think that will be the case this week. I think the Pats win this one comfortably, and I believe in them so much. I have the Bills defense in fantasy. The Bills obviously have a bye. I picked up the Pats defense. I think they win this very easily.
Yeah, I've picked Pats as well. I will say I think the Jets may start to turn the corner. I don't think they're going to win a lot of games, but I think they've been better. The start, I think they're starting to turn the corner a little bit to play better football. Don't think they'll win this game though. These two played earlier in the season as well, and Pats won convincingly. So
yeah,
take that as it is. I think they picked off Wilson 4 times, didn't they?
Yeah, that was a game where Zach Wilson threw 4 picks.
Yeah, you stole the Pats defense off me there, Peps. I dropped him the other week to pick up the Jags defense, thinking that they would have a game over in London.
They had a game, but not the defense.
They did okay. Yeah, again, shoulda, coulda, woulda with my fantasy team last weekend. I went to try and pick them back up on waiver this week, and you'd already snuck in there. But
I'm very slippery. You got to watch out. I'll go in there in the dark of night. I'll just pick them out.
That's it. Yeah, no.
Helping me too much. I'm 3-3 to be honest.
Hey, you could be on the up and up with that Pats defense. They've won me a couple games early on in the season. With Bill Belichick, they're always bound to be able to score some points there.
Stop talking about this game for fuck's sake. Give me some odds.
I'm getting there. Pats are favourites at $1.29. Jets are out at $3.66, and the line is 42.5.
Don't like any of it. Let's move on. And I'll tell you what, boys, these Sunday late games, the last few weeks have been awesome. There's only really one that stands out as possibly being close. We'll get to that in a second. The 0-6 Lions take on the 5-1 Rams. The Lions looked pretty ordinary against the Bengals last week. They haven't scored more than 17 points since the first week of the NFL. And the Rams were rolling against the Giants. Cooper Kupp had another big game. Matt Stafford looks good. The thing that I'm interested in here is the line. How much head start do you give the Lions here? It may be in the 20s.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Peps. Rams will win this easy. It is a revenge game for both quarterbacks, of course.
Yeah.
So
That's
I think
an interesting point. The Goff versus Stafford. Yeah.
So that's why I think the Lions probably score some more points in this because I think Goff's going to probably have a game, but I think the Rams will win. Wouldn't surprise me if it's like 40-something to 20-something final score in this. So potentially overs. But yeah,
I disagree. I don't see the Lions scoring 20 points against this Rams defense. I'd be surprised if they put up 13. That's my view on this one. I can't imagine our tips are any interesting in this one. I'd imagine the whole world is tipping the Los Angeles Rams. Possibly the line and the total match points might be a bit more interesting.
Yep. So 3 Rams here. They are favourites at $1.08. If you're feeling risky, the Lions are out at $8. We have
60. Total. Yeah, Lions gonna be heaps. No idea. Keep going.
I think I'm gonna back by my initial statement. I think the line might be 20.
20?
Yeah.
All right, we'll start with the line. 15.5.
Give that to me all day, every day. Yeah.
$2.
Yeah, 16. 2 touchdowns and a field goal from what the Rams did the Giants last week. Look, the Lions are 0-6. But I don't know if they're the worst team in football. They've, had that Baltimore.
They're not the 0-16 Lions. Let's put it that way.
No, they were very unlucky in the Justin Tucker longest field goal ever. I think they had an overtime loss as well. But yeah, this one's not too close.
No, yeah, and total match points 50.
Oh, yeah, you're backing the Lions to score a few there. I don't know about that one. Probably the most interesting game in terms of competitiveness in the late window is the Eagles and the Raiders. The 2-4 Eagles take on the 4-2 Raiders. The Eagles coming off that loss to the Bucks on Thursday Night Football, but they weren't embarrassed. They had a little bit of a late charge there. And boys, we fucked up. We all tipped the Broncos, I believe, last week. And what we forgot is when a coach gets fired, the team fucking fires up. And the Reds went out.
I don't know what you two were doing because I told you this. I said, you fire your coach, it's good for one win. I picked heart instead of head. So I don't know what you two were doing.
I don't know, mate.
I
was pulling my dick. I do not know what I was doing. But the Raiders look very, very good. They scored 34 points last week against the Denver Broncos. Derek Carr just keeps rolling, 341 yards, 2 touchdowns. They didn't turn the ball over. What do we see here? Because the Eagles' offense, to be honest, looks very, very ordinary, and the Raiders' offense looks very, very good. I don't know. It's a little bit of a trap game. I've gone the Raiders. But I'm not super confident here.
So based on the theory that I didn't follow last week, they got their win with their head coach fire, so they're due for the loss in this one. Yeah. So hey, now it's got to come in, and so now the reality set in. It was like, oh, we're gonna have new staff, new thingy, new whole new coaching staff. Everything's gonna change next year. You start thinking about it, and yeah, I'm going the Eagles here to win this.
I like it. Monks, you've got a deciding tip.
Yeah, very interesting. I've trusted, I guess, the process, the system as it is at the moment, and have gone the Raiders. I guess last week I sort of thought that, especially with Waller banged up and or disruption during the week, they weren't going to fire off as much as possible. Favourites $1.61. Eagles are out at $2.32. And we've got total match points of 49.5.
A little bit high scoring for mine. I'm very unsure of this one. It's really the only one in this late window that I'm not really sure which way it goes.
Yeah, final night, and this, of course, Zach Ertz was traded to the Cards, and we'll talk about the Cards in a minute.
Yeah,
which probably means Dallas Goedert should get in there and get some more match time and involvement in it. So it's quite interesting that last.
believe still on the COVID list. I'm not sure if he's active this week, but yeah, you are right. Dallas got it. If anyone needs to pick up a tight end in their fantasy league, should be one to consider in the weeks coming. Let's
just to confirm that point. Yes, he, as of Wednesday, which is today, American time, he is still on the COVID list.
He won't be far off. People don't stay on that list for too long. The Bears take on the Bucks. The Bears coming off an L. I don't think they were too bad against the Packers. Their run forward, however, is very, very alarming if you're a fan of the Bears from the Windy City. They have the Bucks this week. Then they've got the 49ers. They go to Pittsburgh, and then they've got Baltimore. So pretty tough run ahead. Khalil Herbert was pretty good in the absence of David Montgomery. We were just talking about COVID lists. Is Damian Williams off the COVID list? He's still on.
Yep, still
so
on.
Khalil Herbert, very fantasy relevant there. And the Bucks, it seems like a while since they've played that Thursday night football game in that win against the Eagles. They're 5-1. Gronk may or may not be back this week. For mine, I don't know why you'd risk him. They probably can get away without.
Hasn't been practicing. So, yeah, I think, like you say, alluding to right now, Peps, is, we don't need him currently. Let's rest him up and save him for playoff football when we're going to need Gronk.
They've actually, I thought they really would have stomped on the Eagles. I think that game, the Brady returning to Foxborough game, I thought they would have really put their mark on. Look, they're 5-1. They're the defending Super Bowl champs. They should win pretty easily. I just, for mine, some of their wins have been a little bit less convincing than I would have thought. But look, Brady's playing out of his skin as a 44-year-old. Playoff Lenny is regular season Lenny now. He's trucking it up very well. Monks, it's your team. Did you catch that?
Can I just make a point here? Monks also did fuck Richard Sherman last week, giving him the big shout out. And then he was like, he's been so good for us. He's actually really helped, rah, rah, rah. And then goes out first quarter, does his hamstring, is going to miss a couple of weeks. So there you go, a bit of curse from the Monks there.
Yeah.
Yes, the opinions of someone on a podcast that barely anyone listens to in a different
on the other side of the world. Yeah,
why the soft tissue failed on the cornerback of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
He put that juju in the world, and that's what happens.
That's true. So I'll go back to what I was saying a couple of weeks ago. And yeah, Sherman's going to be playing that mentor role. He won't really be too involved. It was close to a week ago now, so. My short-term memory, I don't remember too much from the game. Like I mentioned last week in the podcast, there's a few, I guess, niggling injuries in the defense for the Bucks. That's probably why the game last week was a little bit closer than we would have expected. Similar situation, but I think they should do much better against the Bears than the Eagles last week.
I think Levante David's still injured for Tampa.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah, he's still...
His counterpart, Devin White, he has got to be the best young inside linebacker in the league at the moment. He's going to come on leaps and bounds. He's very, very good to watch. So $3 here. The odds and the total match points and the line might be more interesting, months.
Line as well, yeah. So, Bucks are favourites, $1.13. The Bears are out at $6.05. We've got total match points of 47 and a line of 12.5.
Ooh, I don't mind the overs there, 47. I suppose the question there is, can this Bears offense score on the Bucks defense? But you can't imagine the Bucks score less than 30 in this one. Another game on Sunday afternoon, which looks like it could get pretty ugly, is the 1-5 Texans taking on the undefeated Arizona Cardinals. The Texans were bad against the Colts last week. I actually took them with a 17-point line. That was an adjusted one, and by about halftime, I knew I'd fucked up there. The Cardinals, they're undefeated. Look, on paper, via their record, they're the best team in the NFL. They were the underdogs against the Browns. Sean, you picked them, but me and Monks went the Browns. I don't know why everyone keeps sleeping on these cards. They're legit. What do we reckon?
Yeah, well, they've got the best wide receiver on their team, so.
Hey, are you talking about AJ Green a few years ago? Yes, there's
I'm talking about DeAndre Hopkins.
There's an argument to be made there.
You might want to go check some stats, Peps, because I think there's only one dude on pace for Jerry Rice numbers at the moment. So, but yeah, either way, the Arizona Cardinals are a very good football team. We talked about how stacked they were coming into the season, of how good their defense has been, and well, how good their defense could possibly be with all the additions they've made to that team. We're kind of concerned about their corners, but their secondaries are playing pretty well. They've got good talent all over the defense. JJ Watt's been great for them. And then their offense has keep rolling. James Conner is playing a role. Rotates in and out with Chase there, so they're a good football team, and I think they're deservedly owed to be 6-0, and they should beat the Texans quite handily in this one.
Yeah, we're talking. Let's just put it in the books. They're 7-0, and we've got to start seriously talking about them being a Super Bowl, maybe not a Super Bowl contender, maybe a Super Bowl favorite. Let's start talking about Arizona seriously. Let's stop sleeping on them. They win this one comfortably. It'll obviously be 3 Cardinals tips. The under overs and the line will be more interesting, Munt.
Yeah, definitely not sleeping on the Cards this week. They are favourites, $1.06. The Texans are out at $9.50. So put everything on the Cards on this one. The total match points is 47.5, and the line is 17.5.
A big line. That is a big line to cover. But that's what I gave. That's what I gave them against the Colts. And this Cardinals seems a fair bit better than that. Speaking of the Colts, they take on the 49ers in a Sunday night football game, which is possibly a little bit underwhelming for prime time. The Colts were very good against the Texans, as I mentioned. Jonathan Taylor, who's really hit his strides the last few weeks, he had 145 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. And T.Y. Hilton, he was back. We haven't seen him this year. He had 4 catches for 80 yards. It's uncertain, though, if he will play this week. The 49ers are coming off a bye. Interesting game here in that the Tennessee Titans seem to be the best team in the AFC South. The NFC West is stacked. These will be teams that are kind of nibbling, trying to sneak into the playoffs. So a big matchup in terms of playoff ramifications. What do we think here, lads? I'm not convinced on the 49ers. This is my upset of the week. I'm going the Colts.
Yeah, I've also backed the Colts, and I'm just trying to actually confirm who the quarterback's going to be for the 49ers, because it looks like Trey Lance is injured. He's got a knee sprain.
I don't know who the third quarterback is.
Yeah, Jimmy G's back at training, but I'm not sure if he's ready or not. If he is, it's going to be Jimmy G. Otherwise, yeah, good question. Do they have Mullen still there?
I think it's Brucey off the longest yard. You just got to watch out if he's had too much popcorn. That damn popcorn, the ball gets slippery. Yeah, I hadn't considered that. I thought it would have been either Jimmy G or Trey Lance going forward. And, well, that backs up my tip, I guess.
They don't have any other quarterbacks. So
they don't.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those. I think Jimmy G is probably going to be the one to go, but who Jimmy G's backup is if Trey Lance can't go with his knee sprain would be quite interesting. But I do like where the Colts are, and I think I said it last week. They're a team kind of starting to hit their mojo. They're getting their guys back healthy. The defense looks like it's playing pretty good, starting to get there. So yeah, I've picked the Colts in this one. Miss Monkey, what's the odds?
Interesting. You've all made very, very valid points. That being said, I'm not.
But they're wrong, and I'm picking the 49ers.
That's it. I'm not going to put the curse on the Colts. I'm hoping that the 49ers will come in. Like I said at the top of the NFL segment, I tried to back a few upsets last week, and it did not pay off. So I'm just keeping it on the straight and narrow this week. 49ers are favourites $1.44. The Colts are out at $2.81. So it's pretty good value for the Colts based on you guys' opinions. Total match points is 44.5, and we've got a line of 4.5.
Yeah, probably wouldn't touch
not
it.
sure on any of that, to be honest. Let's move forward. Monday Night Football. The notes writer here forgot to write any notes. The Saints coming off a bye, so it'll be interesting to see what they can do. They're 3-2, and the Seahawks they lost in primetime last week to the Steelers. They're 2-4. Geno Smith is obviously at the helm with the Russell Wilson injury. This will be an interesting one. Normally two powerhouses in the NFC. What do we reckon, boys? I think the Saints are coming off a week off with Geno at the helm. I'm going Saints.
Yeah, I've picked the Saints as well because, well, at the start of the season, did you see the Seahawks being 2-4 after 6 weeks? Probably not. Maybe those numbers reverse as like a 4-2 team. But coming into the Saints here, I think the Saints overall are probably a better team. Defensively, they're a better defense. They've got a comparable quarterback now with Winston and Geno Smith, but they've also got Kamara on that offense side of the ball. Whereas the Seahawks, unsure who's going to play running back for them. Alex Collins, of course, potentially.
Yeah, he's banged up.
So
DJ Dallas.
or whether Penny's healthy enough to play. It's going to be Gino relying on DK and Lockett there, but whether that's enough against that Saints front seven's pretty good. Yep. They haven't played as well this year as they did last year, but I still think the Saints have got more than enough talent in this one, so I'm picking them.
Monks, before you jump in, I just want to go back to that comparison between Jameis Winston and Geno Smith. I think that's a little harsh on Jameis. I think he is the better quarterback in this matchup. I suppose time will tell. But yeah, Saints for mine. I think the Seahawks as well. Look, you did mention who would have thought the Seahawks being 2-4, but who would have thought this NFC West was going to be as good as it is? I think the Seahawks and probably the 49ers are going to do it tough this year, considering how good the Cardinals and Rams are both looking.
Yeah, that's it. I think I saw late last week that Russell Wilson was in practice throwing a few passes with his left hand. So depending on how Geno Smith plays this weekend, we might see Wilson starting a few weeks early. I'm just kidding.
With his left hand, do you think?
With his left hand.
You ever tried to do things left-handed? It's quite difficult.
Depends if you like a stranger or not.
Of course, about throwing balls and.
Of course, that's what we're talking about.
Beers, etc., etc.
Yeah, opening beers.
Very, very difficult to do.
I've gone Saints as well. They are favourites at $1.46. Seahawks is out at $2.75.
I think that's probably a bit short. My thinking. I think this game will be closer than that.
Yeah, I agree. The 275 is a bit, for the Seahawks. I think that's a bit long. The Saints on the road, the 12th man getting involved. I'm not sure I like that head-to-head. I'll stick by my tip, but it seems a little short to me.
Yeah.
It's a line definitely. Of like 10-ish, 10 plus.
Line 4.5. And
very odd.
That's juicy. Juicy.
That is juicy.
We've got total match points of 42.5 as well.
Yeah, but banged up Seahawks offense, I guess. This Saints team probably relying a little bit more on their defense than they normally do. But an enthralling Monday Night Football game there. Boys, that wraps up the NFL for the week.